This is again sort of slightly what we're seeing is slightly I guess counter trend in that ironically mass and screens are increasingly hard to get and hard to land. There's performance and there's fragmentation and all those kind of macro trends we see happening in the market. What we're going to talk to today is the efficacy of mass market screens, mass audiences and screens. Now, the core theme, things are not always as they seem. The trade desk, James Bayes here, has a few observations on some behaviour that's been happening in parts of the market that many here are unlikely to be aware of. But equally, he has some intriguing stats on what's happening across the screens category, as does Nines, or as does Nikki. You've all been introduced. I don't need to give the bloody company name every time. So, as does Nikki, who among a few pointers says we'll be surprised between the market's rhetoric and the reality on what's happening. The record in Reno, I lost my place, on the use of data. She says that targeting, the use of data targeting and segmentation, a majority of it comes down to kind of three. Despite all the talk, all the stuff we hear, it comes down to three things focused on age, gender and geography. That's essentially a majority of what the briefs that Nikki sees coming through from advertisers. So despite we want niche and we want to target, we want precision, actually the three data segments that she sees coming through are that. We will hear James's view on this as well. Now, Menulog's media lead, Ben here, grappled with all this in the food delivery firm's current mass personalised campaign, which has obviously been spiked given the announcement, as Chris said a little bit earlier, of the shutdown of the business because of new owners that came through out of, well, the South African and Dutch-based, Amsterdam-based, I think, is the new owners for Menulog. We're going to have a chat to Ben about what happened there or his views on some things. Now, there's a stack to cover. We have 20 minutes now, so we're going to get going on it. And I think maybe, James, it's best for you to set the scene here on some of the observations around this argument around mass screens. Everything's going, well, just give us your thoughts on what you're seeing in this front, on that front.
Thanks, mate. I don't think it comes as a surprise to anybody in the room that audiences are fragmenting phenomenally quickly. The battle for consumer attention is fragmenting, and it's becoming harder and harder to connect with audiences. And I think the reality is there's probably nowhere where that's more visible in the Australian media industry than in television and premium video. You think about the number of launches that we've seen over the last kind of 4 or 5 years that we all kind of consume at home, whether it's Netflix, Amazon Prime, Nine has kind of announced ads on Stan, you've got Paramount Plus, etc. Just the fragmentation and the availability of audiences across various different platforms is really accelerating. So I think that's a given. Thankfully, technology is really good at solving for all of that fragmentation and complexity. When you're buying through a platform like the Trade Desk or any DSP, that's one of the core value propositions of buying through a DSP is the ability to be able to solve all of that fragmentation of audiences. So I don't think it's actually kind of that hard to find like audiences at scale in premium video, but I do think it's hard to find the right audience at scale, and also too the right combination of factors that come together to help to drive a consumer to some kind of action or shorten the path to conversion. So with all of that, I think some of the trends that we're kind of seeing, one is, and there's been a lot of this that's sort of been spoken about here today, one is just around accountability, the ability to be able to connect marketing investment to real world business outcomes. So we're really trying to sort of move the conversation with all of our clients away from things like reach and frequency to measuring what really matters. So whether that's a sale or whether it's driving footfall into store, whether it's some kind of online conversion, etc. But moving away from reach and frequency to real world business outcomes. So that accountability piece is really, really important.
Just on that though, James, and I don't know whether this is kicking in or not, but the reach and frequency argument, we heard reach a little bit earlier. it still plays a role. Where does the reach and the frequency sort of equation still, how does it play into the broader outcomes measurement stuff that you're talking about?
I mean, there's no question it plays a role. Like, you know, if you, there is an effective reach, the concepts of effective reach and frequency still exist, but we shouldn't be optimizing towards reach and frequency. Right. We should be optimizing towards outcomes, and reach and frequency plays a part in that. So one is around kind of moving towards real world business outcomes. Two, I think, is around, and within that real world business outcomes for us, it's really critical that you're working with independent third-party measurement. I think for anybody in the room that's sort of working with partners that are leaning on proprietary measurement and those kind of things, I think that's a red flag. So, you know, we have hundreds of measurement partners, independent measurement partners in the platform, whether it's brand uplift, footfall tracking, those sorts of things. But we don't mark our own homework in any way at all. So accountability, independent measurement. I think the next one would be around sort of, you know, we talked about scale. I think quality at scale is hard to find, and so, you know, we're trying to do a lot of work to shine a light. You know, this industry, we kind of bash a lot of people over the head for doing the wrong stuff, but we really don't reward players within the industry that are doing the right stuff as well. And so we're trying to build tools that not only kind of shine a light on the darker parts of the open web to kind of weed those things out, but also shine a light on publishers and partners that are doing really good work and try to reward that with, you know, funneling investment towards driving those kind of outcomes. And then I think the last piece, and there's been a lot that's been spoken about this today as well, is transparency. And I think you know, there's a lot of marketers in the room who work with various different partners that offer black box kind of solutions, but I think you know, it's very difficult to connect what's actually driving performance within those black box, your ability to be able to get learnings out of that you can feed back into how you're growing your business. I think that's a real challenge as well. So yes, fragmentation, technology helps to solve all of that, and big themes around accountability, transparency, and quality at scale.
So before we get to Ben, set up your take on what you guys did with Menulog and why this one is of interest and should matter to this audience about why it's a good benchmark, and we'll get to Ben in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to steal Ben's thunder, but I think this campaign is a brilliant example of leveraging the phenomenal power of television and screens, and what we know of those environments and their ability to be able to deliver big ideas at scale. And, you know, we all know the Menulog campaign. It was a big idea for a challenger brand to be able to develop a creative concept that transitioned from being a media idea to being a real cultural kind of thing. I think, you know, is a real testament to the power of television and the plans that you guys pulled together. But I think what they then kind of did was to push that creative idea and to push the technology to be able to, you know, how do we connect that at a far deeper level? And, you know, I'll let Ben kind of talk about how.
Yeah, well, let's go there, Ben. I mean, so it's what's good in the hood was the sort of the platform you were working on. And before we get to the hood, let's talk about Menulog. So it's shut down. You know, you could be forgiven in the room to go, all right, so if the marketing was so good, why did Menulog disappear in Australia? And what's your take? How do you answer that to a crowd of people that know lots of things?
Yeah, a bit of an elephant in the room. I guess what a lot of people don't know is, like, we were obviously owned by a very big player in market, so we were owned by Just Eat Takeaway, that then recently got acquired by another big player within the same category. That business has a bit of a European-centric ecosystem, and they own a lot of other businesses within the EU, and they've made the strategic decision that their efforts are probably best used by maintaining that ecosystem and building that ecosystem within the EU, which is sad for us. Like, obviously, we've run some massive campaigns. Like, I think the fact that Menulog shutting down was such big business news, and that was huge. Even though, like, we're a competitive brand, we've obviously been around for 20 years, but, like, the fact that there was so much press around it, like, I think it shows that us as a brand really punched above our weight. I think we did amazing stuff from a marketing point of view. We're also a profitable business, but like it was just the direction.
It was a focus issue. And I don't know if you've got any data on it, but Menulog, in terms of its brand, its awareness, how it resonated in market, is quite strong, right?
Yeah, like our unaided awareness, super high, prompted awareness, like all our brand metrics are really, really high, and I think that's a massive credit to the work that we do from a creative point of view, and the marketing team that we have had.
And your budgets, I think you were talking that you're pretty much outspent by your competitors, what, 3-1 or something, was it?
Yeah, like when you look at the numbers, like we're definitely not spending as much as the other guys, but I think that's where we had to punch above our weight in terms of what we're doing from a creative perspective, and also how that media strategy helped like drive.
Well, let's go there, because you did exactly what we've been talking about, mass screens, but you had a geo and a personalisation twist to the mass play. What happened there? Something's happened. So talk us through how this came about, Ben, because you had some challenges about what you do next with your platform, and you landed on this work, and then talk us through the results.
Yeah. So like in a nutshell, I guess like over the last couple of years, we've obviously had a lot of US talent in our ads, and I think there was almost a thought like with consumers that we're not an Australian brand, even though we've been in the country for 20 years when we were started in Australia. So the idea of this new campaign, What's Good in Your Hood, was to bring back the brand to its local Aussie roots, and how do we represent Aussie restaurants, how do we support local Aussies and local communities. So the idea with this What's Good in Your Hood campaign was to do that in a nutshell through the creative, through media. So the idea came from Tinkerbell to go back to our hip hop roots of doing a 60-second TVC with Bliss and Esso, so essentially a 60-second music video clip. But then they also came in with the twist of, one, using a lot of AI to help build out the creative, but two, generating, they pitched thousands of creative assets to then push out through media, and those would all be tailored down to a postcode level, heroing local restaurants within video and audio. So using AI to help comp in restaurant stores, building in restaurant names into the lyrics of the song, and then pushing that all out through media. That idea was put forward to our CEO before I had found out what they put forward, and he loved the idea. And when I got told, I was like, fuck, I don't know how we're going to do that with media. Like, it's a lot. But yeah, like we're obviously an in-house team from a media perspective for digital, so we kind of negotiated, worked out what we could do. So we ended up landing with 250 audio assets, 25 different video TVC assets, and I think 100 variants for out of home. So like a lot. And
you rolled that out. So I think, James, you talked about clearly you're a very fit man. You're riding your bike to work, and
it's actually a motorbike, mate. So I'm not fit.
Oh, take it back. You weren't in your gym shorts.
But yeah, like there's discussion around kind of the value of personalisation, and I think this is just such a great example. I have a big creative idea, but yeah, I was riding my motorbike into work. I'd only left home 5 minutes earlier. I live on the Northern Beaches up in Avalon. And I was driving through town, and like I was listening to I can't remember if it was a podcast or audio streaming or whatever. If there's any police in the room, not supposed to have headphones in, but I did. And I was coming down through town, and like the tune was playing, and it was singing around Avalon and Newport and whatever, and like it just makes just mentally I just kind of switched on to the campaign, and I was like, shit, did I really hear that? Like, is that what I thought it was? And then as somebody in the industry, you go, fuck, the complexity of how you actually execute like on that kind of was what I thought about. But then if I transition across to as a consumer, just, yes, there's that big kind of creative campaign, but just I love the way that you used kind of technology for what technology can do incredibly well now to personalise it, not at a one-to-one level necessarily, but to a local level that made that campaign resonate more to me.
Yeah, and I think like going back to the topic, like screens at scale or just like media at scale, and I think when you think about digital and programmatic, like the whole idea of it has been sold as something of precision and like pinpoint accuracy, but when you kind of almost flip it on its head, like the way that we've built out the campaign is we're still achieving our 70% 1+ reach goal, but we've also got this localized version that still delivers on what the core of the campaign is, which is heroing local, and I think the two kind of marry up very well. Yeah,
you did hit all the boxes, and I think you said the challenge that you have is that everyone with a mouth as a potential customer. So the targeting's, you still need mass, and you need to do it with a twist, and this is what happened. What were the results? So talk us through the numbers.
Yeah, so obviously short-lived campaign, but like during...
September launch?
Yeah, September launch, so like 2.5-ish months. But I think we saw some like great green shoots from just that time period. So across key regions, we saw a 16% uplift in new customers, 4% growth in orders, 7-point increase in spont, 3-point increase in consideration. So like everything was really on the up and up. So it's actually really devastating to see the campaign kind of come to a halt.
Did the owners see those numbers before they made the decision, Ben? You should have put them up. Maybe we're onto something. They're good numbers, right? That's for what? What do you say? 4 weeks? 5 weeks?
No, like probably about 6 weeks. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry, 6 weeks. Okay.
But
and the big thing here is like understanding how you delivered. I thought it was fascinating when we were talking earlier. You said the creative agency had the great idea, and then how the hell does you deliver that in a media context? So some channels required more, to get that level of integration and personalisation going at a geography level. It required a bit more. Talk very quickly through that, and then we'll move on from it.
Yeah. So some of the walled gardens, obviously not as many integrations. Your paid social, YouTube, line by line, manually optimized. Total nightmare. With the trade desk, we came to the team with a problem, and I guess the thing that I've always loved about the trade desk is they have so many integrations with all the different partners, different pieces of ad tech, and the integrations are so easy to access. So we ran through what we wanted from the team. We ended up with Innovid as our ad server for the campaign, and what they do is they'll essentially look at each bid request, what the postcode is, scan which creative we want to serve, and then just allow that. And the whole process made it seamless. Could manage reach across all of our campaigns very cohesively. And then we could all link that back to our in-app data and attribution and off the back of it. So
right, and the key data points goes back to what we're talking about at the top. It was geo, and well, in your case, most people with a mouth.
Exactly.
Most people have a mouth, I think.
Most people have a mouth, yeah.
So there was that was where the mass bit comes in. Now, Nikki, this is one of your points that we pointed to earlier. The segmentation, the use of data. We have a conversation market that says precision or targeting, segmentation, all those things that we hear, and use of data and data layers. And James has talked about it. But you have a different view on this in terms of what the application of it or the demand for it, at least from your perspective.
Yeah, so more a different sort of lived experience on it, I guess. But listening to this is really interesting to me because there's a few factors to it. But yeah, interestingly for us, the majority of data segmentation we get asked for has been age and gender. Very traditional, and that's really been the majority of it.
That's in a digital context as well.
In a digital context. I'm talking about BVOD now. Yeah, I'm talking about BVOD.
Okay.
What we are seeing emerging is geo, and that's because we're sort of doubling down on self-serve BVOD. We're tapping into that direct SMB market, and geo is really important there, kind of for all the reasons that Ben's just talked about. That's what those local businesses want to tap into, the ability to get really, really tight on geo-targeting, talking just to their local area. So that's actually an emerging area for us. But before that would have been age and gender. I mean, we can do a lot more than that, a bunch more than that. We have a huge amount of first-party data. We have, 17 million, active users every single month. We've got a bunch of data about how they behave across our ecosystem. We have a single view of that user across TV, radio, publishing. So there's a lot we can do, and we've got 70 tribes with different kind of lifestyle segmentations, and they do get used, so don't get me wrong. They absolutely do get used, and they come through on briefs, whether it be around entertainment, interests, sport, obviously real estate, finance are really big, most commonly used kind of data overlays. But yes, there is a traditional bent to age and gender being the most majority used, but I think that's also to drive reach, because as much as we've just talked about the beauty of this data targeting driven by creativity, reach was still important at the end. You still knew what your reach was, and I would say reach is still very important to most marketers, and it comes through loud and clear to us in our briefs and our conversations with marketers. But I also think, listening to you talking, I think creative versioning has been a bit of a barrier in our world, certainly in TV, and then in BVOD. And yes, we've had dynamic solutions, but they've been pretty simple. Now with AI, obviously this is changing at a dramatic rate. And if I just look at the AI creative versions we've been able to offer on 9 Ad Manager, which is our self-serve platform, real entry-level kind of AI ads only right for a small amount of the sort of advertising population. What we're actually able to do now, out of Powered with the use of AI, is provide pretty good creative versions for our smaller advertisers for less than sort of $10,000. And that's just going to get better and better and better. So actually, I think we'll see more of this and the more complexity, because that's a pretty complex campaign you just executed there.
I feel like the problem with like dynamic creatives and creative variants, it's always like, are you just doing it for the sake of like doing something cool? And like now that you do have AI, you can definitely speed up the process, and you can test and learn, and you're not wasting your designer's time, you're not wasting production costs to try and build out something just for the sake that it might work. Like the speed and acceleration of this whole process is just rapidly growing.
Yeah.
So can I ask, you talk about reach, Nikki, and you reinforce reach is important, but at the same time, probably the critics of the TV system would say that's where you stopped. Historically, you stopped at reach, and you didn't. There was not much else beyond to show how can we draw the link between reach and a business outcome.
Yeah.
You are starting to work on the stuff, and James, we'll talk to what you're up to as well. But talk through where you're trying to go to some outcomes, and you've got some interesting early examples. I think I don't know whether you can name them, but I'll shut my mouth so that I don't get in trouble.
Thank you. Yeah, we are, and you're right. TV rested on its laurels around reach for a long time, and that was all that mattered. And, you know, our competitive set has changed enormously. Audiences are fragmented, as Basie said, which we all know. And our ability to demonstrate outcomes and effectiveness was left wanting very, very quickly with the advent of the platforms. And we're probably a bit slow to kind of cotton onto that and start to go, right, how do we prove this out? Yeah, okay, we definitely were.
Anyway.
Definitely were. But we are working to change that. So, and really, we're doing a lot of what Basie just talked about, focused on 3 key areas. Brand growth, which TV's kind of famous for, but we constantly need to prove, and we do that through brand lift studies and the like that we do across all of our sponsorships and what you'd expect. But also going into sales growth and short-term growth, the 2 areas that we probably haven't been able to provide enough evidence to advertisers before about how we're working. So we've been working with Mutinex this year, we've been working with Agile, we're working with a few different providers to work out what are the short campaign metrics that we can show advertisers we actually do play a role in the lower funnel metrics, driving web traffic, direct to website, driving app downloads, driving search, so that we can say that don't just use us for brand, we actually are a full funnel solution. And we have seen some really incredible results at a macro level, but also client by client, with Aussie Home Loans. We've seen, that we drive direct web traffic, and Agile will tell us that TV drives about 1/3 of direct web traffic and app downloads. Well, that's very meaningful because that direct web traffic is usually more valuable too, more likely to convert, and we have that confirmed by a lot of our clients. And that's going to become even more important as search is being kind of turned on its head at the moment, and AI summaries kind of stopping search in its track, and potential, browsing of different brands. Being able to just ask for a brand by name, go straight to their website will become more and more valuable. So we've got multiple proof points now that we're able to do that, and that TV's playing a huge role in that. And when I say TV, I'm talking TV and BVOD. I put them together. Also, that we wanted to explore our role in profitability and growth. So there's a big tension point between efficiency and effectiveness at the moment. So cheap ROI is winning, and it's an easy thing to kind of justify when you need to justify costs. But we were interested in, what's the impact of that, and what role do we play? We know we're never going to be the cheapest, so we're never going to win on ROI if ROI means efficiency. So we started exploring, what's our role in profitability? What's our role in driving sales? And
what is it? Where did you land?
Well, what we see is, in aggregate, TV is second only to search in driving sales volume. We drive about 22% of all media-driven sales come from television. So huge, and as I said, second only to search, and way bigger than any other video product. So we know we can do that. And working with Mutinex, what we've also been exploring is, what is the investment into TV now versus where it should be? We have an enormously high point of diminishing returns where you can keep advertising and keep garnering profit back. And we've seen that about 85% of TV investors are underinvesting. And we actually got a great kind of insight from Mutinex was that if all of the TV advertisers were advertising at the level that they should be, there's about another 100% in ROI to be gained. So these are great stats that I'm throwing out here, but essentially what we're able to do now is start having conversations one-on-one with our clients about how they're spending, where their levels of investment are, and the role that we're playing to drive through the funnel. And so trying to be a more accountable partner,
Right.
essentially, and we're going to keep doing that.
And James, where does that we're the same, right?
It's interesting you say that like TV is second only to search, because like one of the things that we're trying to do is to shine a light on the different combinations of media and what that what the impact of exposure on television is in terms of driving search behaviour and those sorts of things. So we have a tool within the platform that helps you to understand what baseline search behaviour looks like, and then what it looks like after you've been exposed to television, to radio, to those sorts of things. And so, it's 100% true. Like, traditional media, television, BVOD, radio, those sorts of things, like drive material uplift in search behaviour and make those channels work harder. But just kind of like coming back to the point around kind of data and targeting, like our CEO has what seems like a dumb expression, but I think it's really good. Like the opposite of data-driven, which is the opposite of data-driven decisioning is guessing. And we'll take data-driven decisioning over guessing any day of the week. And you can apply data like in so many different parts of the campaign, whether it's pre, mid or post. For us, like in post, so we have about, it's almost bang on 50% of users of the Trade Desk platform use some form of conversion or sales data in the platform as part of their optimization process. And what we're trying to do is to, when we work with partners like Nine and other premium media publishers, is to say, let us help shine a light on the power of your platforms. We have 3 or 4 brand uplift partners in a platform. We have footfall tracking from a range of different partners. We have conversion lift. We have, all these different tools. We know that premium environments work. So let us help you to prove the power of your platforms through data. Let us help you to prove how much more effective you can make other parts of your marketing, a brand's marketing ecosystem through using these premium channels. So yeah, we try to apply as much data as possible. I know we're kind of running out of time, but one of the things that we're doing, and then I'll stop talking, but so we just announced a month or so ago the launch of a tool within the platform called Audience Unlimited. And effectively what Audience Unlimited is designed to do, it's become really hard to use third-party data and to understand what third-party data is effective in terms of driving an outcome, like how fresh is it, where's it come from, all of that kind of stuff. So we have like tens of thousands of third-party data segments in the platform, and you go, well, which ones should I use and which ones are going to work in terms of driving an outcome? And now what we can use is use AI to effectively score the value of those 10,000 different audience segments within the platform to understand which ones are most likely to drive the fastest and most efficient outcome for my campaign, and then apply those on my campaigns for a simple single one-up cost. So rather than kind of having to pay for each individual segment, layering and all of that kind of stuff, it helps you understand when to use data, which data to use, and how to use it in order to, and what combination to use it in to drive the most effective outcome. So I think it's just another great example of like where AI and technology is helping to simplify, the phenomenally complex environment in which we all operate.
Are you seeing that in your data though, that say what Nikki's talking about? Can you back Nikki or disagree with Nikki on the fact that screens are delivering those outcomes?
Well, I back that screens is delivering outcomes, absolutely. But like,
so you talk about quality search, for instance. You said that like I think you said in our conversation earlier last week that some of the screens are delivering a better quality search result.
100%.
Am I making that up? No.
Totally. Yeah, premium video delivers like an increase in search behaviour, no question. Premium video and audio like makes things like the results that you see from last click attribution on social media look better because like television and radio makes that stuff work harder. But those channels have taken credit for those things over time because there's no way to sort of dedupe the contribution of those different channels.
But now the market understands that much. I mean, I'd like to ask the crowd, but I won't because I'll get in trouble, I think. But like, is there a misperception on this stuff?
Look, I think so. I hope so. But like, I mean, we talk to marketers who say that these platforms, these black boxes, a lot of the times it's a tax, right? Like, you just know that you have to put money in at the start of the month to get a number in a spreadsheet out the other, like at the end of the month, so that you can sit in front of your CFO and show the number of conversions that you've got, and the risk that in terms of dropping your investment through those black box solutions solutions is really high. So we're trying, I've used this expression a couple of times, but we're trying to shine lights into places that have been difficult to understand before and using independent third-party measurement to prove it out.
I want to keep asking, but it's redlining here. So maybe just I'll get from each of you a 30-second take. Ben, overall, what would you say to your colleagues here about in terms of screens and what your lessons were from Menulog and doing what you did in that campaign and the results, etc.?
Yep. I'm a true believer in screens. Like the way that we plan at Menulog has always been a screens first strategy, whether or not that's just because we have a video and audio asset. But when we've run incrementality testing with brand ads, like we can see a huge effect that has on orders and new customers. So I'm a big believer. Everyone
do it again.
Buy into it. Yeah.
You'll do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nikki?
Look, I think today's a great demonstration that you really can balance reach and personalisation. Personalisation not necessarily being one-to-one, but contextually relevant, geographically relevant, and with great effect. So yeah, we can do that.
James?
Great partners deliver great work. Premium video works, and it's even better when when you leverage technology and data to make it work even harder.
And what's the self-preferencing black boxes, I think is what I would like to say, based on what I heard you say anyway. Or am I making that up too?
Yeah, I mean, I just think when it comes to, look, every marketer in the room probably uses a black box, and I'm not saying don't use them at all, but I think there's a risk in putting all of your eggs into one basket that doesn't give you transparency on what's actually driving performance on the
the combination of what you're talking about and what Mutinix is doing, what we've heard all today is about, remaining impartial, independent and doing something different.
Absolutely.
So put your hands together for the screen people. Thank you.